fumbled the character in the show. Fumbled. Welcome back to Dramatic Evaluation. In this video, I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite Walking Dead characters. Please hook me up and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment. So, I've talked about this before in a couple different videos, but The Walking Dead is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's in my top 5, it's in my top 3, it's in my top 2. It's between that and Lost, I think, for my favorite show ever. It's just, for me, it's awesome. It's zombies, it's awesome actors, awesome characters, awesome situations, and it's just a freaking great show. So I thought it'd be fun to go through and rank the top 10 characters. What's my criteria? Whatever I want. Whatever I want. I don't know. Just characters that I think are cool and have cool storylines or just cool attributes or whatever. And that's going to be my list. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each one, so this video doesn't go too long. Just going to kind of run through them each and say a few things about each one. And I'm also just going to cover the main show. I thought about the whole universe at first, Fear the Walking Dead and some of the spin-offs and stuff. But honestly, there wouldn't be many, if any, characters that made the top 10 list from those shows anyway. But also, it just opens it up too much. Like, going through this is harder than I thought because there are so many characters in The Walking Dead. And obviously I know that, being a fan of the show, but like sitting down and actually looking at it, it's like, oh wow, like whittling down to a top 10 is tough. Like I could easily do a top 20 and have awesome characters fill that out too. So yeah, just sticking to the main show, and yeah, let's get into it. All right, so for number 10, I'm going to go with Ezekiel, aka King Ezekiel, when he's first introduced. This is just a rad character. He's just a really chill, genuine, nice guy. He's funny. He's got some jokes or just some kind of like lighthearted comedic moments from time to time. His relationship with Jerry is really awesome. I really like how Jerry's got his back, and even after the whole King thing goes awry or to the side, he's still there for him and everything. Man, Jerry, I didn't even put on this list. Forgot, he's awesome too. I like that guy. But yeah, Ezekiel / Shiva / Jerry for number 10. How about that? Number 9, I'm gonna go with Morgan. I knew I wanted him on this list, but I wasn't sure how high or low to put him. He's an OG character for the first episode. It's him and Rick. That's what kicks off this show, and then disappears. And then I just thought it was so cool when he comes back in season 3. You see him again. You're like, whoa, that's the guy from the first episode. And then when it gets back into like season 5 or 4 or whatever, and you're seeing him on the road, kind of like walking around, like following those symbols on the trees, and like you're like, oh, dude, he's gonna cross paths with Rick again. This is awesome. And just to pay that off and have that happen after like 5 or 6 seasons was just cool. I really liked that. And then, who he becomes is pretty cool. Like he's, fighting with the bow staff and just having this kind of philosophy that he has. And yeah, he's just a cool character. Number 8, the Governor. This is the first kind of big villain, I think. He's a great villain in the show. Great actor playing him. And it just makes for just an awesome character. After the stuff that goes down, it's a little different in the comic, a little gnarlier in the comic what goes down with Michonne and him. But after he gets stabbed in the eye, wears that eye patch, and that's pretty cool. It leads to one of the most epic episodes of The Walking Dead, where they have the fight at the prison, where he takes it to the prison and attacks, and is all out war at the prison. Is awesome, and it's just a really cool villain, and the first that we kind of saw of that, because before that it was kind of small stuff here and there, and mostly the zombies as the threat. And he was kind of the first major threat group, leader of a group of people that stood against our heroes, our survivors. And yeah, it's classic villain. And speaking of villains, some feel this way, some don't. But number 7, I'm gonna go with Shane. A little bit turned into a villain a little, and this guy, awesome character. Short run, obviously, 2 seasons, but great character. Awesome actor. I love John Bernthal. I'm pretty sure The Walking Dead made him. I don't think I saw him in anything before The Walking Dead. And then after The Walking Dead, he was in everything. Certainly springboarded his career to awesomeness. He's a great actor. I love him and everything I've seen him in. I'm glad that he was in The Walking Dead and that happened for him. But I think the like baby daddy drama with him and Rick and all that and Lori, I think really like grabbed viewers. I think people who wouldn't necessarily watch a zombie or a horror show were intrigued by that, the drama of that story, and kind of hooked those viewers in, I feel like, and just helped the popularity of the show. And then the turn where they stop trusting each other and he starts, and then he attacks Rick, and then Rick has no choice. He's like, dude, I don't want to have to do this. And he has to kill his friend. It's a crazy death. Maybe not the first big crazy death, because like Lori's after that. I think it's like the first big, I don't know. Obviously there were deaths before that, but like this one was like gnarly and massive, huge character, crazy situation. I think this was like the first big insane death in a finale episode, or maybe it was an episode before the finale, and then the finale was crazy where they had to flee the farm. But yeah, Shane is awesome. That was an awesome character. Number 6, another villain, Beta, probably the best villain. Well, the scariest villain, gnarliest, most formidable villain in the show, I think. He's a giant beast. Most of the other villains are not these crazy big gnarly dudes, like where physically you're not going to be able to like even fight this guy. I know Daryl fights him, but like Daryl got rocked a little bit and got kind of lucky with how he ended that fight. But dude, Beta just looks awesome. The whole vibe, like the whole horror vibe in all the episodes he's in, like the one episode where he like goes and like infiltrates Alexandria, is like going around killing people, like had such an awesome horror vibe to that episode. And he was just a big part in making that feel that way. He's just lurking around and just with that mask on and the hair that's coming off it, like and how big he is and his coat and stuff. He just looks awesome. And then when Alpha dies and he makes his mask had been kind of ripped apart, so he like makes an amalgamation of like her face on with his mask. That was just really cool. And then a pretty gnarly death for him at the hands of Daryl, which was pretty awesome. Yeah, just a rad villain. Probably one of the best. Either my top favorite villain or number 2, depending on how you view a certain character. And we'll get to that. Number 5, I'm going to go with Glenn. Just an awesome character. Awesome. We see the growth of this like kind of younger kid, not necessarily seeming like much of a capable survivor type of person, and then you see him grow and evolve into very much that, yet still keeping his morals. He's a very good, kind, moral person, and I like that about him. He even like helps Heath, where Heath didn't want to have to kill anyone, and Glenn up to that point had never killed anybody when they're at that like savior base and they're killing those people in their sleep, and he like does it for Heath, just like makes that sacrifice for him because he doesn't want him to have to live with that. So yeah, and then followed up with tragedy, hardcore tragedy with his death, for Maggie and the baby, and for him, like it was brutal to see him go out at all, but to see him go out that way was just crazy. But remembering him, the fake out with the dumpster, all that, he was just a really awesome, solid, good guy and a good character. All right, these top 4 getting a little more obvious, I think. So number 4, I'm going to go with Michonne. Maybe a little low in some people's rankings, but just a BA, awesome character. The first, I think, very iconic, very unique character that we see. Very like comic booky. Up to that point, it was just people in regular clothes and looking like just normal people. And then all of a sudden, this like samurai dreadlocks sword shows up. And you're like, whoa, who's this? Like, what? And it was just a real cool kind of opening up into that comic world. And she just does a bunch of cool stuff. As soon as she shows up to the end of the show, she's just kind of contributing to the story and, gets involved with Rick, takes over that plot line of Andrea and Rick in the comic. It's Michonne and Rick at the end of the show there. And then they pick it up with that spinoff show. And I thought that was fun to be able to see them reunite and bring Rick home. And please don't be done with that. We need to see Daryl reunite with Rick. Thank you. But yeah, Michonne is Friggin' awesome. Number 3, Negan. Now this is, I was saying Beta's the best villain. I probably would say that because like Negan, although he started as a villain and was an awesome villain, at the end of the day, he's like kind of led this gigantic group of people who, that's why that group was formidable and crazy, is the amount of like people that they had. He didn't really necessarily do all that much past the introduction of him where he takes out Glenn and Abraham and you're just like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? And then doesn't really do anything. And then he gets caught and then he's redeemed over time of becoming a good dude, and he's hilarious. He's played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who makes the character. It's not very, but it's a little different than the comic version of him. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan kind of just took it on and made it his own and made it an awesome character. I don't know who else could have been better in that role. And he's funny. He is charismatic. He is, he's won people over. He's murdered Maggie's husband and then now is like basically friends with her. Like it's pretty crazy. But it's cool to see that kind of like evolution and to see a movie or a show or a game or something pull that kind of thing off. The Last of Us 2, the game, not the show, does, we'll see what the show does, but it won't do it. A good job of it. But the Last of Us 2 does a great job doing a similar thing where you have a character kill off a beloved main character and you hate that person, and then by the end of the game, at least for me, a masterful job of making me love that person and one of my favorite characters in that franchise. So I think that they pulled that off with Negan, and I think a big part of that is the actor. He's just very charismatic and likable and just has a way about him and is awesome. All right, the top 2. Number 2, Daryl Dixon. This is just, been called the last man standing in the show. He knows what to do. He's efficient. He's a survivor. He's awesome. He is always going to get out of a situation. He always knows what to do. He can go out and survive on his own in the wilderness. He doesn't need other people. A lot of these people in the show, they kind of thrive off community. He does not. He can participate in that, although in the very beginning it was a little tough for him to kind of jump into that when they got to Alexandria, but he doesn't need that. He can survive out on his own in the wild, and that's just who he is. And I hate that he's in Europe right now in the spin-offs. I want him to come back home, especially now that Rick is there. Hopefully they can pull that off in season 4 here. We'll see. But yeah, Daryl is just rad. He looks rad. He has that signature weapon that, again, spin-offs have ruined a little bit because he doesn't have the crossbow anymore, and they've kind of like changed his character a little bit, honestly. Which, over time, it's been a long time, so I guess that makes sense. But just through the show, like, his hair, his vest, his crossbow, just iconic. Creating an iconic character that wasn't in the comic, although they kind of borrowed and stole from Dwight in the comic a little bit to make Daryl, but yeah, awesome. Daryl Dixon. At number 1, of course, the man, Rick Grimes. Let's go. How could it be anyone else? Rick Grimes is the number 1 character on The Walking Dead. Let's get real. Come on. This dude is awesome. He's the ultimate survivor, the ultimate leader. Sometimes he needs to get bailed out by people and has had that happen several times. Daryl saving his life in a couple moments that were a couple of my favorite moments in the show, and their bonds together is just awesome. And he just looks awesome. All his outfits, he just looks cool. The gun is rad. It just is awesome. Rick Grimes is one of my favorite characters, not only in The Walking Dead, but in anything of all time. He is a top character in the pantheon of entertainment for me. So I love Rick Grimes. Can't say enough about him. And also kind of made by the actor too, like Andrew Lincoln. Like if someone else were Rick Grimes, I'm sure I'd still like the character, but Andrew Lincoln, he kills it so hard. He's so good, not just as an actor in general, but as this character. Like, he is Rick Grimes. It's incredible. And that's that for the 10 through 1. So I'll just go through some honorable mentions real quick, because there are a few that almost made this list. So Sasha, Abraham, Carl, Tyrese, and Lydia are top characters that were left off the list that could have kind of snuck into that number 10 slot maybe. But, I know it's maybe kind of crazy to leave Carl off this, but I don't know. Do people like Carl? He wasn't great, dude. And don't even get me started on the Coral thing that Rick, oh, that meme or whatever. Like, he doesn't say Coral. He doesn't ever say Coral. He says Carl. I never understood that. Show me one clip of him saying Coral. Okay. And then just random other honorable mentions real quick. Maggie. Merle is awesome. Jesus should have been awesome. Is awesome in the comic. Fumbled the character in the show. Fumbled. Sorry. Herschel, Rosita, Tara, Aaron, Simon, Yumiko, Magna, Judith, Connie I really liked a lot. Princess was funny. T-Dog and Noah was okay. Mainly just he had an awesome death where he got ripped apart in front of Glenn's eyes. But yeah, that's it. If I didn't mention them, I know there are a lot of other characters, so if I did not mention them, it's because I didn't like them that much or at all. But a couple I will mention, and one maybe glaring omission for some people. Carol. Can't stand her. Hate her. No thank you. Don't need her in the show. I know there was one or two moments where she like helped out, like when they like she helped spring them from Terminus, although I feel like Rick and them had that kind of handled already. They just needed that one explosion that she sets off to like have the enough of the distraction to get out of there. She's the worst, dude. After Henry died and she just goes off like doing one thing after another, getting people in trouble, getting Connie and Magna like in the cave-in, like all that stuff's like her fault from doing all the stuff she's doing, and it became so annoying. And I can't stand Carol. I don't understand how people like Carol. Makes no sense to me. Get her out of here. One of the worst characters in the show. The worst character in the show, Andrea. Wow. From what was such an awesome character in the comic to what they did in the show, and the character was so dumb and so annoying. And when she shoots Daryl that one time, and she's all like, the look of like being proud on her face, like she did something, and then it's like, oh wait, no, that was Daryl, not a zombie. I'm an idiot. Like, she deserved to die because she easily could have gotten out. She gets the she's like tied up. She's fumbling around to get the like clipper things or whatever to like cut to like free herself. She does, and then just gets attacked by the zombie and dies. Pathetic. Opposite of a survivor. So yeah, don't like either of those two characters. So that's it for my top 10 characters in the Walking Dead franchise. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of my list. Let me know what your favorite characters are or characters that you don't like. And let me know what you want to see me cover next. Stay tuned. Until next time,